Every week, the loudest voices try to drown out the truth.
But we're turning the volume back up
From hidden agendas
to expose lies.
to the wins that remind us that America still has fight left.
And yes, we're diving into the conspiracy theories too, the ones people forget about until they turn out to be true.
Two hosts, unfiltered opinions.
One podcast.
This is The Right Approach. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is episode number 8. Last episode was pretty controversial, pretty fun, good topic. I liked it. I enjoyed it. This week, a little bit more dialed down, but still fun. For conservative win of the week, we've got Costa Rica's election. Conspiracy theory of the week is AI rewriting history. And media madness, we've got weather controlling politics. I'm interested about that one. I'd love to know about that one.
Me too. Well, I wrote about it.
You did write about it. For our main topic, young adults leaning right. And they certainly are, let me tell you. Let's get right into it with conservative win of the week. Costa Rica elects a conservative president.
This is true. This did happen.
This did happen. This is factual. Why do we care about Costa Rica? Let me tell you. On February 1st, 2026, Costa Rica held its general election, including the presidential race. Conservative candidate Laura Fernandez won the presidency outright in the first round, avoiding a runoff by passing the required 40% threshold. Fernandez received roughly 48% of the vote, defeating centrist challenger Alvaro Ramos, who trailed by more than 10 points.
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot. This marks a significant conservative victory in a country long viewed as politically moderate and institution-focused. So why is this a conservative win, you may ask? Well, Fernandez campaigned on law and order, tougher crime enforcement, and economic reform, all key conservative priorities. Crime and public safety were top issues for voters, with Costa Rica experiencing a rise in gang violence and drug-related crime. Voters rejected establishment parties and backed a populist, reform-minded conservative candidate instead. And her victory continues a broader regional shift toward conservative leadership in parts of Latin America. Political impact. So Fernandez is closely aligned with outgoing conservative president Rodrigo Chavez, signaling continuity rather than a leftward shift, which is huge. Usually the political pendulum tends to swing right to left, potato, potato. You get the point. Her party also performed strongly in the Legislative Assembly, giving her greater ability to implement her agenda. International leaders, including U.S. officials, publicly congratulated Fernandez and emphasized cooperation on security and immigration issues. So why does this matter to U.S. conservatives? Well, it demonstrates that tough on crime and anti-establishment messaging resonates with voters beyond the United States. Now, liberals can't use the excuse that we are the only country that does stuff like this, especially in a place like Latin America. This reinforces the argument that voters are prioritizing security, stability, and national sovereignty over progressive social experimentation, which is huge. This also shows that conservative ideas are winning through democratic elections and not force or unrest. Again, huge, because this is a big part of the liberal movement, I guess, is that conservative values are being forced upon everyone, I assume, is what they think. So what's the key takeaway? This election sends a clear message. When crime rises and institutions fail, voters are increasingly turning to conservative leadership for solutions. We are the solution. We create the solutions, not the problems. And just like it has started to here in our own country, which we will talk about a bit later. Moving on to conspiracy theory. Is the government quietly rewriting history through AI and digital archives? The answer may surprise you. This week, online researchers and independent journalists raised alarms over changes and disappearances in digital archives, including government websites, media databases, and AI-generated summaries. Screenshots circulating on X and Reddit show older articles, speeches, and public records appearing altered, softened, or recontextualized, when accessed through AI search tools or updated archives. Some users claim historical events are being reframed through context updates, where language is adjusted to better align with current political narratives. Let me make something very clear. History has already happened. You can't change it. I don't know what AI is trying to do or what the people who control AI are trying to do or get a point across, and I'd love to know specifically what parts of history are being changed, because I have a sneaking suspicion I know what topics they cover. Now, we're not really gonna get into that because that is a topic for another time, and I don't really need any more labels than I already have on me. So, what's the theory? The conspiracy theory argues that AI is being used as a soft power tool to gradually reshape public memory. I just learned what soft power is in my global conflict studies class.
Go you.
I know, I'm so proud of myself, and you should too. Instead of banning books or censoring outright, institutions allegedly rely on algorithmic filtering, SEO manipulation, and AI summaries to control what people see first, and often only. Critics argue that this creates a digital Mandela effect, where future generations won't know what was changed because they never saw the original version. So why are people suspicious? Well, AI tools increasingly summarize history instead of linking directly to original documents. And I actually have a big gripe with AI. I don't really like it that much. I used to love it, and I grew to hate it. The only times that I do use it are for research, and every time I do, I always say to link its sources, and it always does. And I go to those sources and I do my own research, just like you should do. So government agencies and media outlets have quietly updated past content without clear public notices. And trust in legacy institutions is already low, making people more likely to question motive and intent. So what are some of the arguments for this theory? Historical revision has always existed. AI just makes it faster, quieter, and scalable. So for example, the victors always write the history books. Algorithms decide visibility, meaning unpopular or controversial truths can be effectively buried without deletion. And this comes in with, in our day and age, the Israel-Palestine conflict. A lot of information, we're being force-fed information at this point. It's hard to tell what's right and what's wrong, and what's fake, what's real, and there's so much information out there. You can't take any of it for truth or not.
And it's not really a new concept with that either. Like we talked about last week, like Operation Mockingbird, like we were strategically fed information so we would be on the side of the Cold War.
Exactly. So once AI becomes a primary source, primary sources become harder to find. So like I said before, I don't personally use AI. I try not to when I can. Never use it as a primary source. If you do use AI, it's fine. Always ask it for sources, just like I do, and for it to link them so you can do your own research. Don't be lazy, especially in politics. You'll just make yourself look stupid. So some of the counter arguments are that institutions claim updates are for accuracy, clarity, or context, not manipulation. Now again, I'd like to reiterate, history does not change. What are you trying to fix? There are no direct evidence that proves a coordinated effort across governments and tech companies, which, interesting.
Why would we know if there was, though?
Exactly. And some changes may simply be poor record keeping or evolving standards. I'm not shocked at the poor record keeping at all. So why this matters? Even if unproven, the theory raises serious concerns about who controls information. We've talked about this before. Again, last week, Operation Mockingbird. Who trains AI? And who decides what counts as truth? If history is filtered through machines, the question becomes, who programs the memory?
Now, we're going to talk about the weather somehow controlling politics?
That is interesting.
This week, a media clip went viral.
Now, we've known for decades our planet is warming, that we would start seeing the brutal effects. But conservatives remain so deep in their denial, they're flailing around for anyone or anything else to blame. Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is now like a big mover and shaker in the Republican Party, is promoting a bizarre conspiracy theory about a mysterious they, you can imagine who that is, controlling the weather, suggesting that they are sending hurricanes to Republican areas to impact the election. Like someone is sitting at some computer somewhere pressing hurricane.
So we're talking about, this is a little odd for me to be talking about because, I'm a conservative, but one of our conservative Congress people needs some assistance. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is being tied to one of the most outlandish claims to ever resurface online. The idea that the government can control the weather, including hurricanes, and maybe using it for political purposes. This clip spread wildly across all social media platforms, turning a natural disaster conversation into a spectacle. So what did she say? She stated publicly that it is ridiculous to say weather control is not possible, implying that modern technology allows humans to manipulate large-scale weather systems. Okay, I've seen NASA make a cloud. Have you seen that video?
I have. That is pretty cool.
They can make it rain. Pretty sure that Donald Trump doesn't have make a hurricane button on his desk.
If he did, I'd be very impressed.
Her comments were connected to recent hurricanes and several storms. I find that slightly offensive because a hurricane took out my hometown, with online users suggesting storms were being directed intentionally. Old weather research programs and cloud seeding experiments were cited as suggested proof, despite those programs never demonstrating control over hurricanes or major storms.
Just so you know, cloud seeding doesn't work. We've tried. It's not real.
News panels focused on the shock value of the claim rather than immediately grounding the conversation in science. Some outlets treated the statement as entertainment rather than misinformation, blurring the line between reporting and spectacle. So these news outlets were running with it. They weren't like, this lady's an idiot. Science? No, that's not what they did. Why would they do that? Why would they tell us the
Because
truth?
it's MTG and she's a politician, and why would a politician ever lie to us?
The coverage often centered on political fallout instead of public safety messaging. So why is this madness? Have you heard anything I've said? Hurricanes and natural disasters are already political enough. It was literally the entirety of Hurricane Helene, rather than being like, oh, a bunch of people died. Everything about emergency preparedness is overshadowed by debates about imaginary technology, because apparently the liberals are controlling our hurricanes.
They are, apparently.
But let's look at the bigger picture. Outrage drives clicks, not accuracy. That's why they call it a clickbait. Saying something shocking now gets you more attention than saying something true. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. The media ecosystem rewards viral moments even when they distract from real-world consequences.
Yeah.
So apparently, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, the liberals are controlling our hurricanes.
On the outrage drives clicks point, recently we had the Grammys, and I despise the Grammys. It's a bunch of degenerate people wearing the most skimpy outfits I've ever seen. What was her name?
Chappell Roan.
Chappell Roan. First of all, despise that woman. She is a horrible influence for everyone and anyone. But I think it was Billie Eilish that went viral for receiving an award and saying, I just want to say, first of all, ice out. And she was met with applause. But it backfired on her.
Nobody's illegal on stolen land.
That was the one. Nobody's illegal on stolen land. I apologize. It was met with applause, but it backfired on her because she has a $14 million mansion that resides on Native American land, and now they want that land back, and they're calling for it back. And apparently I believe it's California?
Yeah.
One of California's greatest attorneys is now pushing for these Native American people to bring her into court and try and get the land back, which is hilarious. Anyway, moving on.
We're talking about the young people voting right and Republican.
We need more young people voting right.
Did you get my joke?
I did. I like that. We are the right approach.
This is true. So for a long time, everyone assumed that young people would always vote left. Go to college, support progressive ideas, vote Democrat. Automatic, right? But now more young voters are questioning that. Some are turning conservative, some are becoming more independent, and many are just tuning out completely. Why, you may ask? It has something to do with the cost. Rent is higher than ever. Where we live, rent is like what? $1,400 a month minimum?
The housing market where we live is wildly exasperated, and it is barely livable for most people that I know with a full-time job.
Groceries, gas, and basic bills cost way more than they used to. I'm spending like $100 on me at the grocery store. Entry-level jobs don't pay enough to live independently. Young adults are feeling stuck at home or living paycheck to paycheck. And when politicians talk about an economy improving, it doesn't match reality.
Yep.
Unlike James Fishback. Anyway.
Plug.
Then you get into student debt. Many students are told that college is the only way to success, but now they're buried in student loans. Loan forgiveness is getting promised, delayed, or limited. And it feels like young voters are being used for votes, not helped. Why are we paying all this debt when college doesn't even feel open anymore? Students feel pressure to agree with certain political views, especially when they go to a private university. Saying the wrong thing can hurt your grades or your social standing. Conservative or moderate opinions are often shut down.
We have first-hand experience.
Classes sometimes feel more political than educational.
First-hand experience.
I am an HSI major. That's Homeland Security and Intelligence. We talk politics all day, every day. It's a rodeo.
Yep.
Activism is exhausting. Young people are tired of being told what to post, say, or believe. Online activism often looks good, but changes very little. Questioning popular opinions often leads to attacks and not discussion. I tried to debate someone the other day.
Guess what? Guess what they said?
Guess what?
Just take a wild guess. Give me 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. A Nazi!
I got called a Nazi.
Yep.
And you're wondering, what could I have been debating about? Immigration. I said the words simply, I think a closed border is better for our state. And I got met with, that sounds like 1940s Germany. Because I said I agreed with ICE. And then I got promptly called a Nazi and he walked away. Many are burned out by constant outrage. I'm not burned out. I love it. And then social media is opening the eyes of so many young people. Young voters can see multiple sides of every issue. That's how I found out about James Fishback. They watch politicians contradict themselves in real time.
Yep.
The entire Liberal Party.
Yep.
Media bias is easier to spot than ever before. And trust breaks fast when people feel lied to. And we're trusting big institutions and big politicians less and less. Many young people don't trust the media, to be honest, because they're not.
They're not at all.
The government feels slow, distant, and disconnected. They are. They're all like 5 years away from being 6 feet under. Universities charge more while offering less.
First-hand experience.
Corporations preach values they don't follow. And young voters don't want to be reduced to labels. We want to be treated as individuals, and constant focus on race, gender, and groups feels divisive. Hard work and fairness matter more to many than identity. But what I think is the saddest part is many of them aren't even switching sides. They're not going from left to conservative, which I will say, there's quite a few that are. There's a lot that are going from left to independent. Also great. Love that for you too. But most of them are just giving up on politics altogether. They're just saying, I'm not doing this.
But then those are the same people that end up complaining the most.
This is true.
Which, in my personal opinion, if you're not voting and you don't care about politics, don't complain.
A lot of young voters stopped paying attention to politics altogether. Others refuse to identify with any party, which I see no problem with that.
Fine.
Disengagement is growing, and that's a warning sign. Silence often means disappointment, not apathy. Why are these conservative ideas so appealing to young voters? Free speech matters. to a lot of young kids. Government overreach, worries them. Realistic economic talks feels refreshing because it sounds like the people that bought a house for $20,000 in 1949 don't know anything about us buying an apartment for $1,600 a month.
Yep.
Stability and accountability are appealing, when we're lied to and they don't just pretend that they didn't do that. But conservatives still have work to do. Talking down to young people doesn't work. We can see that with James Fishback.
Yep.
He's appealing to all of the young people in Florida, and he's crushing Byron Daniels.
Not only Daniels?
Byron Donalds.
Byron Donalds. Not only is he crushing the competition, he went from a mere 3% approval rate to now almost matched with Byron.
Which is crazy.
In a very short amount of time.
It's because he knows how to use social media to appeal to a younger audience, and the younger audience is coming out in support of him. Ignoring young people's struggles pushes them away. Listening matters more than lecturing. Listen to our problems. We have a lot of them. It'd be great for some of them to get fixed. And solutions matter more than random slogans on your Instagram page. So what's the takeaway here? Young voters aren't leaving the left because they suddenly changed their values. It's because they feel ignored, stressed, and talked down to. We want honesty, opportunity, and freedom. And right now, none of us feel like we're getting that.
We're getting none of it. We're getting some of it, Floridians at least, with James Fishback. But nowhere else really, as far as I'm concerned. Now, you may say, possibly Nick Fuentes. Maybe, but he's not really a politician. He's more of a public speaker.
Nick Fuentes for president?
I'd be okay with that. But, we'll see what happens. Maybe this changes. Maybe things turn around. Maybe we get more people converting to conservative than we get people just leaving. I hope it goes that way. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been quite an interesting episode. I'm pretty sure I say that every single episode, but it is an interesting episode every single week. We look forward to seeing you next week, and we will see you in the next episode. This has been The Right Approach.